First topic has to be about Cam Thomas. There are so many opinions about Cam Thomas in these comments. Let me read what you guys think. Mari Scott says Cam Thomas will be an all-star next year. And they reply, well, he will if coach plays him. Cam scored 14 points in 18 minutes versus Philly. Cam may not be the better defender, but the Nets need some offense. So I want to tell you guys something about Cam Thomas. In the last 10 games, he is averaging 21 points per game. And remember, he's only playing just 20 minutes in those games. That means he's averaging a point a minute, which is extremely impressive for an NBA player. Now, I feel like I've repeated this way too many times, but if you've been watching the roster updates, we've talked about Cam Thomas a lot. And we believe he was going to be very, very good. He just wasn't getting the minutes, and now we're seeing that become true. The issue is they're not starting him. The issue is this team has so much talent that it's kind of hard to give him a reason to start him, and I think the coach likes to have him as a sixth man on the team. That's great and all, but Cam Thomas is arguably the best scorer on the team. You would think, even though he's not a good defender, he has to play. Cam Thomas is an amazing scorer. That jump shot, he jumps so damn high when he shoots. It's actually really impressive. He hits shots. He has extreme confidence. We know he can hit shots. It's just the defensive issues. Look, if I'm the Nets, let's be real. They're not winning a championship this year. We made a joke about how this is like the best role players in the NBA on one team if they had a superstar, and I'll get to that in a minute. It'd be crazy. But maybe Cam Thomas is that all-star that's really good. What if in a couple years Cam Thomas is dropping 30 points a game? He is your superstar, and you have a team around him that can succeed. You should start him. It'd be the smart thing to do. The last thing you want to do is make him feel like he's not wanted and he goes somewhere else. I really think Cam Thomas should be playing a lot more minutes. He's clearly the good player on this team that can score. And like Jonathan Scobar says, the Nets have so many great role players that if they were to manage to sign a real number one option, they will turn into a contender overnight. Imagine Kawhi or SGA, Jimmy Butler on this team with the exact same roster with Bridges, Claxton, you have Cam Thomas, you have so many great players on this roster. Spencer Dinwiddie as well, and Ben Simmons has been pretty terrible this year, but I guess he's a good defender, and even then he's not that good of a defender enough to be only a good defender. He's kind of a liability right now, Ben Simmons, you can keep it real, but Ben Simmons is on the team too, and you can maybe make him work and make him turn into something with a good roster. If they had that superstar, this would be an NBA championship level team. There's two things. Either A, they have to go sign a superstar because, they had Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving, but they wouldn't have had this team if they didn't trade them away. The realistic thing is this. You hope that Cam Thomas is that superstar. He's clearly shown he has the ability to score. Maybe you should give him those kind of minutes to become that kind of scorer. I'm expecting him to be like an 80 overall in the next roster update, but there's one player we're kind of forgetting. Bridges, bro. Bridges has been insane. In the 5 games he's played for the Nets, he's averaging 25 points per game on like 50% from the field. He's been fantastic while also being one of the best defenders in basketball. He's been so damn good. Bridges has a lot of confidence right now. I heard someone call him Brooklyn Bridges, which is crazy. I'm happy for him. He looks like he's happy. He's never missed an NBA game ever. He's played every game in his career. Even back in college, he's played every game ever. It's impressive. Bridges loves to play basketball. If he keeps scoring like that while being a great defender, he's be one of the best two-way players in basketball. As Afro-Cuban says, this just goes to show that there are many great players in the league capable of dropping big games and leading a team like Cam Thomas or Bridges. Just depends on the role that you're given. If Kyrie and KD were still in the picture, Cam would still be coming off the bench and averaging like 12 points. But now that he's leading the Nets and averaging like 29 points in the last couple of games, yes, I absolutely agree. It just goes to show you that anybody in the NBA can have a really big night if they are the leading primary scorer every single game. They're going to have good games. It's just that can they do it night in, night out? We're going to have to wait and see with the Nets. It's way too early to tell how good they are. If I'm giving a rating, I'm going to put Cam Thomas +5 at an 80 overall. And I'm putting Bridges probably as the best player as an 86, probably. The next one is one I'm pretty excited to talk about. Wall Jones says, no Derek White update will be crazy, and I'm surprised you ignored it in the last video. He's averaged 19.4 points per game, 5.2 assists on 50% from the field and 47% from three. Actually, in the last 10 games, he's actually been averaging 6 assists on only 1 turnover a game, which is the best in the NBA. And yes, averaging almost 20 points per game as the third option on the Celtics. This makes me so happy because I'm a Spurs fan, and during the bubble, I swore that Derek White was going to be him. And I thought we looked ridiculous because the last couple of years, Derek White's been a little shaky. But during the bubble, he was averaging like 25 from the field, being one of the best defenders in basketball. I was so happy with Derek White's play. I genuinely believed as a Spurs fan that we had DeJounte and Derek White, and that DeJounte was going to come back and become the all-star that he ended up becoming, and Derek White was going to be our number 1 option because he could shoot threes. I really believed that, and now seeing how he's playing with the Celtics as the third option reinforces my belief that Derek White was really that good. I'm so happy for him. I think he's probably going to be like an 82 overall, arguably up there as the third best player too. I mean, I don't think he could be an 85 overall. It's kind of early. But an 82 overall sounds good to me. I think Derek White could be that high. He is playing at that kind of level. I'm happy for him. The Buffalo, he was one of my favorite players watching the Spurs for years. So I'm genuinely happy for him. I want him to succeed. I kind of want him to win a championship with the Celtics, even though I don't know if they're going to win it. But the Celtics are stacked. They have so many good players. And this is before, Marcus Smart's been hurt. Brogdon's been shaky. Robert Williams III has missed most of the season. And everyone's going to come back together healthy. This team is dangerous, bro. And they've had the best record in the NBA, wall riddled with injuries all year. Just watch out. It all just depends on Jason Tatum's, how good is he? I think we know he's about a superstar at this point. But, if he can continue that, it's scary for the Celtics. I'm so happy for Derek White. I expect him to get a solid +4. We need to talk about the Bucks for a little bit. So Josiah is underrated says, I'm kind of mad they haven't done ratings for Giannis, who needs to be a 98, and Jrue Holiday that needs to be upgraded. So let's talk about both these players. Now, the Milwaukee Bucks have been riddled with injuries as well. Ever since last year, they have been. Bobby Portis has been hurt. Brook Lopez missed the beginning of the season, and then Chris Middleton has been hurt, and then he came back, but he's been shaky ever since his restart. Now, he's starting to do good again, but for the most part, these three players right here have been a little shaky. However, Giannis and Jrue Holiday have been the clear 1 and 2 throughout, I'd argue, the last year and a half. And it insults me, and I've repeated this before, it insults me that Giannis isn't a 98 overall. If anything, Giannis needs to be tied as the best player in the NBA with LeBron. I'd argue LeBron needs to go down and Giannis needs to go up to a 98 overall. In the last 10 games, Giannis is averaging 38 points per game on 14 rebounds on almost 60% from the field. This is by far the best in the NBA. No one's even close to that. Giannis is an absolute monster, the Shaq of our era, while being the probably best defender in basketball. Putting up those points is just insane. He's a monster. No one can guard him in the NBA. This team is disgusting when healthy. And I guess it's no surprise that I want Giannis at a 98, but the bigger topic is Jrue Holiday. So Jrue Holiday is the second best player on the team. This is something that I had wanted for a while, and they finally had done it because Chris Middleton had been shaky from injury, and Jrue Holiday has proven that he'd been consistent enough and was a great defender. Now, we know when Chris Middleton's on it, he's the second best player on this team. On the championship team, he was the second best player. He was getting so many clutch buckets. But in terms of defense and now staying on the floor, it's been Jrue Holiday for a while now. In the last 10 games, he's averaging 20 points per game on good efficiency while being one of the best defenders on the team. Jrue Holiday's here. Now, do I think he needs to be up there in a 90 overall? That's way too high. I argue an 87 overall has been perfect for him, but because we've been playing better lately, his rating should go up from what it was before. I'd put him at an 88 overall. I don't want to extremely put him up that too high because he's not a 90. He's not in the 90 overall club. He's not. 88 overall is probably his absolute max peak where I would put him. And then Chris Middleton, when healthy, was also an 88 overall. So that feels correct to me. Last one is from Gonario that says Norman Powell at 80 rating is criminal as well. So Norman Powell is an 80 overall compared to Mason Plumlee, who's an 81, Paul George 89, and then Kawhi 90. Well, first up, I believe firmly that Norman Powell is the third best player on the Clippers. I think he's shown that for a while. I think this was expected. I remember when he came from the Raptors, I was like, he's not playing as good as I thought he was going to play, and then he started to turn into Raptors Norman Powell really quickly, and they never really updated his rating because of his play. I feel like that was kind of ridiculous. In the last 10 games, he's averaging 19 points per game and 48% from the field. Norman Powell has been very, very good. He's mostly just a bucket getter. He's not really a good playmaker, not a good rebounder. I wouldn't say a good defender or anything. He's a scorer. And 2K doesn't like players that are only scorers because they can't rate them high, because that means they like the things that make your rating go up besides just scoring are a lot, like playmaking, vision, defensive help, and all that kind of stuff. That's not acknowledged for Norman Powell, so his rating doesn't go up. But when you're scoring that well, you have to go up. I think he should be an 82 overall. I think that's fair for someone who's mostly just a scorer. He's been efficient. You know, I'd argue he's probably better than Mason Plumlee as of today. I mean, we don't know how good Mason Plumlee is with the Clippers just yet. I think that's a good place. And I think he deserves to be the third best player on the Clippers. I do. The final thing is Russell Westbrook. Now, we know Russell Westbrook's probably going to the Clippers. We're going to have to wait and see how he does with the roster, how good his rating's going to be. But I really am interested to see if they put him back down under the 80 overall club or a lot higher.